Basketball fans, welcome back. So I'm just coming off watching these games, these two games, Kenya versus Israel and Kenya versus Germany. So that Kenya versus Israel game, that's the first game of the day, and I didn't watch it live, but I watched the replay, and I made sure to watch that game about 2 times so that I can be able to dissect the film and understand what really happened. And that game ended 21-11. Then the next game was Kenya versus Germany. It was just Kenya just got mollywopped by Germany 21-8. Kenya only scored 8 points. So combined, Kenya only scored 19 points. It's a stark improvement from what we saw 2 days ago. Because 2 days ago it was a massacre. It was pretty embarrassing. And that's a performance that was unjustifiable. And this one, still a poor performance because it still conceded 42 points. And it was sad. Kenya versus Israel was a game that I watched, and at some point I felt like Israel were a team that we could literally take on, but unfortunately the personnel, the two players, Judith and Emily, were very useless. I can say this is the most useless bunch of players, those two. I'm not going to go in too much on Barbara because Barbara really fought inside that Kenya versus Israel 3x3. That game she fought. She scored majority of the points. And had the other two players played well, at least that game would have been interesting. Emily and Judith tried to turn up at the final minutes of the game, and it was nothing. You couldn't stop it. If you watch the game, you know. I'm not going to narrate everything that happened in that game. You can go rewatch it on YouTube. But here, we have a problem. Because even in that Kenya versus Germany game, I could just tell that these players were just shot. There was no coming back, and Germany were just the stronger side. Technically, they were much more vast than Kenya. And Kenya just didn't have the ability to play basketball at that point. And they were just sitting there, they're just sitting ducks, and even the commentary team for FIBA knew that Kenya didn't have a chance. The only chance that they gave Kenya was that Kenya versus Israel game. But in that Kenya versus Germany game, the writing was all on the wall. Kenya was not going to walk away with a win in that one. And it was true, because how Kenya played, it was very pathetic. It was actually one of the most heart-wrenching and gutting performances I've watched. Okay, I've watched so many poor performances through the years. I've watched so many, even dating back to not too long ago, about 4 months ago, when Kenya played in Japan, Team Kenya. So we had the senior team play the 3x3 in Japan, where they also laid an egg, similar to what we saw today. And I must say it's very disappointing. So these players, Emily and Judith, should never be called back to the national team. They should never play for Team Kenya and should never be allowed under any circumstance to suit up for Team Kenya. Barbara, no, she's not ready. None of these players are ready. The only player that had merit is just because she fell, like she was not able to play, was Mary Lisa. That's the only player that has logged so many minutes for Team Kenya, especially on 3x3. And the other players are just, they have no merit and are unestablished. And sorry to say, they have no skill. Can't play defense. Judith and Emily can't shoot, can't score, can't play defense, can't even grab a pass. You know, during a game, you have to understand like a few things. You have to make some adjustments. Mentally, they had a day yesterday, the whole day yesterday. They had a day to just think about, how can we beat this team? Did they even watch? Where is the scouting? Eunice Ouma, I repeat again, should be sacked. Judith and Emily and Barbara should not be allowed to play for 3x3. We should not allow this thing to happen. Again, it's pathetic. I mean, watching those games, it's so difficult. You can't stand the incompetence. You can't stand the low basketball IQ. The low IQ players were just, they were just too much. It's too much. When is enough? It's sad, pathetic performance. I mean, how do you sleep at night knowing that you've embarrassed your country? How do you sleep at night? It's so pathetic. Why should you be allowed to play again? Should never be allowed. It's sad. It's very sad. And actually, this is even the Kenyan government should start auditing these games and these tournaments, because number one, these players and the coaching staff is going on taxpayer money, and the way the government is right now, they're trying to conserve every single shilling, every single Kenyan shilling spent. They're accounting for it. Then you're given an opportunity to go play. You go put out one of the most garbage performances. Then you come back at somebody like me who's covering these games, then you come and say, oh, he's so negative. Go look at the games. Be objective. Look at the games, look at the stat sheet. I am not lying. You can go fact check everything. They are pathetic. You can't stay even 2 minutes or 3 minutes watching that. I have never seen players with no merit. And the Kenya Basketball Federation cartels deserve this. The cabal that runs Kenyan basketball deserve this performance. They deserve it. It's pathetic. It's unacceptable. You should never be allowed to play. This player should not be allowed to play. And KBF, be warned, we are watching you. This should not be allowed to fly. This is embarrassing your country. And then when you're being called to account, you start saying, they're representing the national team. You can't go and embarrass us. History is written by the winners. You cannot do that. It's unacceptable. You cannot allow this to happen. It's sad. Ifikie kila mtu, because embarrassment. Why waste money knowing that you can't even win a game? Why waste that opportunity for somebody who could be able to do something and have productivity? Why would you do that? Why would you take that opportunity for somebody else? And you just accept it just because you have been given. Then you go there and lay an egg. Then when you come back here, you expect to be respected and treated with honor. History is written by the winners. If you can't win, don't demand respect. You are a disgrace. All these players who play for 3x3, the women's team, who have played, Emily, Judith, Barbara, you are a disgrace to Kenya. Don't even show your face. Even if you play, you don't show your face. You are an embarrassment. Feel ashamed. Pathetic. Can't even come here and start complaining here and crying here. You have no fight, you have no passion, you have no desire to play. Don't even man, it's pathetic. It's very pathetic. Yofikie wote, I know you're watching this video. The KBF cabal are watching these videos. I know that. Ifikie kila mtu. I'm out. It's sad. You can't explain this type of failure of this magnitude. You can't.